Freya is considered the most powerful goddess in Norse mythology. She represents love, fertility, battle, and death. Her being the goddess of love, though, makes her a perfect topic for Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone, and today we're talking about the Norse goddess Freya, which is also my daughter's namesake. Freya is described as the most beautiful of all goddesses, and people would pray to her for happiness and love, for assistance with childbirth, and for a good harvest. There are many myths about her that seem to have been lost to time, but we do have fragments of myths that have been passed down through other texts. The name Freya comes from an old Germanic word meaning the lady. Freya belonged to a family of Vanir gods who oversaw most things related to fertility. She had a twin brother named Freyr who oversaw the harvest. He was also born in the Vanir tribe, but ends up living in the realm of Alfheim after it was presented to him as a gift by the seiðr. Their father was Njord, who was the god of the sea and oversaw the sea, wind, and wealth. It's kind of unsure who their mother was. Some records suggest that she was an unknown sister of Njord. Familiar relationships were not uncommon amongst gods, so it could be a possibility. Other people believed that their mother was Nerthus, who was the Norse version of Mother Earth. And some even believe that their mother was the daughter and wife of Njord, Skadi the giant. Even though Freya had been born into the Vanir gods, who lived in the realm of Vanaheim, she does end up switching tribes and ends up in the seiðr, which is what Thor and Odin belonged to. After she switches, she lived in Asgard with her husband, Odr. There are some who believe Freya's husband, Odr, is actually Odin, due to Freya and Odin's wife, Frigg, looking almost identical. Normally, Frigg and Freya are presented as completely different goddesses. However, there are some similarities between them. Daniel McCoy has argued that these differences can be explained because when Iceland and Scandinavia were converted to Christianity, the Norse were in the process of splitting the goddesses from one Germanic goddess, so just splitting them into two. Odr's name was very similar to Odin's, and Odr is very rarely mentioned. There's one part of a myth found in the Eddas that described his personality and deeds. The passage states he is often away on journeys, and because of this, Freya cries tears of gold. Freya and Odr are said to have two daughters named Nos and Drsemai, who names both mean treasure. Not much are known about them other than them being Freya's daughters. There are some people that believe that Freya's husband is actually her twin brother. However, the Icelandic Snorri Sturluson, probably pronounced that wrong, which is the most complete record of Norse mythology, records Odr as Freya's husband. She is also known by 4 other nicknames: Mardal, Horn, Geffen, and Seiðr. The name Seiðr is sometimes translated to sow, but can also mean to shield or protect. The name Horn most likely comes from the Old Norse hor, which translates to flax or linen. In Scandinavian culture, linen was an important product which was believed to prevent evil and provide fertility. There are different objects or animals that are linked to Freya. Pigs were said to be sacred to her, she rode a bull, and would drive a chariot that was driven by cats. She was also said to have owned a cloak or cape that was made from falcon feathers. Whoever wore this cloak was able to transform into any bird and fly between the worlds. It was called Valshmar, which translates to hawk's ham or falcon's skin. Freya is also associated with witchcraft. One of her most influential roles was being able to choose half of all the heroes who died in battle to take to her great hall in Folkvanger, which translates to field of people. The other half would be chosen by Odin, who would take them to Valhalla. It would depend on the hero's social status for which god was actually able to choose them. One myth talks about Freya's switch from the Vanir tribe of gods to the seiðr. This happened because of the Aesir-Vanir War, which was caused due to hostility and fundamental differences of their cultures. When the tribes would eventually come to an agreement, Freya, her brother, and their father were all sent over as sort of a collateral. They were eventually accepted as one of their own, and Freya would teach the gods the ways of seiðr, which is a kind of ancient Norse magic. Seiðr magic is the most organized form of magic in Norse mythology. Freya would first teach the gods and then bring magic to humankind. The art of seiðr involved using magic to understand the course of fate and then working with that magic to bring change. Those who practiced the craft attempted to change fate. This power could be used in any way that the seer imagined. It could bring illness or bad luck, even inflicting pain or causing injury. Or it could be used for positive things like curing illnesses, bringing good luck, or winning a battle. During Norse times, these people would travel across the land, being paid for acts of magic in exchange for food or lodging. By some people, Freya was feared for her abilities, but for others, she was longed for. Let's talk about some of the other myths involving Freya. In one, Freya is accused by Loki of sleeping with all of the gods and elves, including her family. In another, it talks about Thor's hammer being stolen by the giant Thrym. Really bad at pronunciation, so I apologize if I'm butchering anything. He had asked for Freya's hand as ransom. Freya did not want to marry the giant, so Thor went and got his hammer back himself. Thor was able to retrieve his hammer and kill the giant. Another myth explains the seasons, tying it to Freya being married to Odr. Odr was fond of traveling, and one day he had left his daughters and Freya to travel. Freya would then go and look for him, and soon autumn came, and then winter, and eventually she finds him under a laurel tree, and together they go back to Asgard. On their journey back, it becomes spring again. In the rural areas of Scandinavia, fertility gods remained popular until the end of the 19th century. In the province of Småland, there was an account of her relationship to lightning and ripening crops. In Verend, Freya could come Christmas night and bless the apple trees to bring on good harvest, so some would leave apples on the tree for her. People would also consider it dangerous to leave plows outside because if Freya sat on them, they would become useless. Possibly the most known myth about the goddess has to do with her necklace. And it goes something like this. This specific telling of this myth is taken from Myths and Legends by Miles Kelly. And here it goes. The beautiful goddess Freya wandered through the halls of the palace, counting her blessings. She had a wonderful husband, the god Odr, and two lovely daughters as fair as flowers. They had an elegant home and splendid garden in the heavenly realm of Asgard, surrounded by their friends. Still, Freya's heart was restless, yearning for excitement. Preparing her carriage pulled by cats, she decided to go on the journey. First, she traveled through Midgard to see the world of the humans. Then, she traveled through the land of the Light Elves, Alfheim, home of her brother. Finally, she found herself at the borders Svartalfhelm, the rocky realm of the Black Dwarfs. A wicked dwarf called Dalvin and his three equally wicked brothers learned that the beautiful goddess was coming and set a trap for her. Deep inside a dark cave, they built a workshop and busied themselves with an anvil, hammer, and a fiery furnace. As Freya wandered along, the noise of the dwarf sparked her curiosity, and she drew closer. Lit only by a raging furnace, Freya found four dwarfs hard at work. They pretended not to notice her arrival. Looking around, she suddenly caught sight of their anvil and gasped in astonishment. There, glittering and gleaming in the golden flames, was the most beautiful necklace she had ever seen. Unbeknown to the unfortunate Freya, the necklace was enchanted. From the moment the goddess laid eyes on it, the charms began to take effect, and she felt an uncontrollable need to possess it. "You have surely crafted the most exquisite necklace in the universe," Freya breathed, her heart pounding. "How much silver do you ask for it?" "The Rising necklace is indeed the most desirable adornment in all creation," Dvalin replied. "But we could not sell it for all the silver in the world." Freya's pulse raced. She could not take her eyes off of it. "Then how much gold do you ask for it?" she said. "The Rising necklace is not for sale for any treasure of gold," the dwarf replied. Freya began to feel desperate. She could not walk away without it. "There must be some treasure you will take for the necklace. Please tell me what your price is, and I am willing to pay whatever you want." The dwarf brothers exchanged evil glances. "The only treasure we will exchange for the necklace is you. You must be married to one of us for one day and one night, and in return, the necklace will be yours," Dvalin said. Freya was so enchanted that she didn't hesitate. "So be it," she agreed, and the deal was done. As soon as Freya had the Rising necklace, she came to her senses and felt ashamed and guilty. She regretted betraying her husband. The only solution was to keep it a secret and keep the necklace hidden so that no one would ever see it and find out what she had done. Hurrying home to Asgard, she stowed the necklace safely in her chamber, setting strong magic onto the door and window locks so only she could enter. She never dreamed anyone would find out her secret. However, Loki soon discovered Freya's secret and was delighted to tell Odar. Odar was furious, not at Freya, but at Loki. "How dare you come into my home and accuse my wife of such unfaithfulness without a shred of evidence? I refuse to believe it. Unless you bring me this Rising necklace as proof, I shall tear you limb from limb if you cross my path again." Loki was furious and he slunk away. He was determined to make Odar eat his words by somehow getting the necklace and showing it to him. Loki knew that Freya had sealed her chamber with magic, so he couldn't break in. Instead, he turned himself into a fly and zipped around the door and the windows, looking for a crack to go through. At last, he had found one at the top of the window sill. It was no bigger than the eye of a needle. Holding his breath, Loki had made it through and found himself inside of Freya's chamber. There she was, curled up on her bed, wearing the cursed Rising necklace. Silently, he returned to human form and gently slid off the necklace, quietly unlocking the door and leaving. When Freya awoke the next morning, she saw the necklace was gone and her door was unlocked. She knew her secret had been discovered. She hurried to her husband to confess everything. However, he was nowhere to be seen. Desperate, Freya ran to Odin and threw herself at his feet. Weeping bitterly, she said, "I shall never rest until I find my husband and beg his forgiveness." Odin knew of Freya's sin and that her husband had left heartbroken. Even though he knew where Odar was, he decided that Freya had to learn a lesson. Wander the universe until you find Odar and win his pardon, but you must wear the necklace forevermore, as a reminder of your mistake. Odin sent the messenger Heimdall to retrieve the necklace from Loki, and soon it was around Freya's neck once more. With a heavy heart, Freya wandered away from Asgard, searching for her husband. Odin watched her go with fondness, knowing that all soon would be well again between them. It seems to me that if she just told the truth to begin with, maybe it would have just been okay. But let me know if there are any other goddesses that you want me to dive into. And I hope you guys had a great Valentine's Day. Remember how loved and appreciated you are just by being you. Make sure to like the video and hit the subscribe button. And until my next one, I love you guys. Bye.